come out publicly and tell his story of why he won't give these things to the teams that have invested heavily in putting the show on each and every week.
When is the day that this has to come to an agreement?
It doesn't have to.
No.
I mean, it doesn't have to, but
isn't there like a day where it's like, hey man, okay.
Just when you thought the NASCAR drama couldn't get any more intense, the legal battle between NASCAR and two of its teams has taken another explosive turn. Is this the biggest crisis in NASCAR's modern history? Stay tuned, because I'm about to break down why Denny Hamlin is fired up, why NASCAR is now counter-suing its own teams, and what this means for the future of the sport we all love.
Let's talk about the lawsuit.
Father.
Oh, Denny Hamlin should absolutely win this lawsuit.
Denny's great.
I'd be like, Freddie, Denny's great.
I hope I just run good for the next
hey,
races.
for real, the NASCAR lawsuit? Bro, NASCAR lawyers showed up this week.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Basically tells the teams, we are preparing to run with 32 charters.
Okay, that was the slap in the face.
Yeah.
That was,
No, it was, we are allocating our funds to 32 charters. That isn't just, hey, you don't get a charter, you ain't getting paid either.
Guess there's still
Enjoy
2
that.
charters for sale.
The lawsuit recap. Before we talk about the bombshell developments that just dropped, let's quickly get everyone up to speed. Last October, 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports filed an antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR. What were they claiming? That NASCAR has been operating as a monopoly, controlling the sport with an iron fist and preventing teams from getting their fair share of the massive revenue NASCAR generates. And here's a key detail many people miss. 2311 isn't some small operation. It's co-owned by none other than Michael Jordan and NASCAR veteran Denny Hamlin. When those two powerhouses team up against the NASCAR establishment, you know it's serious business. The teams asked the court for something called a preliminary injunction, basically asking to keep all their charter rights, guaranteed race entry, prize money cuts, while they fight NASCAR in court. And guess what? The court said yes to that request. But here's where things get really interesting. NASCAR's counter moves. Just this week, NASCAR fired back with a countersuit against 2311 Front Row Motorsports, and specifically named Curtis Polk, who is Michael Jordan's longtime business partner. This isn't just a defensive move. NASCAR is going on the offensive. NASCAR's attorney, Chris Yates, held the organization's first formal media availability since this whole legal battle began, and some of what he said has Denny Hamlin absolutely fuming. According to NASCAR's claims, Curtis Polk was at the very center of the plot to use collusive behavior to extract more favorable commercial terms from NASCAR in the charter negotiations. They're essentially accusing the teams of conspiracy, claiming they worked together through media channels, threatened boycotts, and tried to interfere with NASCAR's broadcast negotiations. But here's what really set Hamlin off. Hamlin's response. When journalist Claire Lang reported on Yates' statements, including his claim that the teams never explained what they thought would be a fair revenue split, Denny Hamlin couldn't stay silent. Hamlin fired back on social media with a scathing comment, "You should have a fact-checker in the room at all times." Why is this such a big deal? Because according to the actual court documents, the team's DID makes specific demands. NASCAR's own filing states that the teams asked for 42.7% of all media revenues and outlined several other specific requests. This direct contradiction between what NASCAR's lawyer said publicly and what appears in their own legal documents has put NASCAR's credibility under serious question. This isn't just about legal paperwork and courtroom drama. This battle represents something much bigger happening in NASCAR right now. Think about it, why would established teams be willing to sue the very organization that runs their sport? The answer comes down to the fundamental business model of NASCAR and how teams make money. Unlike other major sports, NASCAR teams don't share equally in television revenue. They don't own their franchises in the traditional sense. And with costs skyrocketing for these teams to stay competitive, many owners like Hamlin argue the current system simply isn't sustainable. What makes this even more fascinating is the timing. All of this is happening while NASCAR is implementing its new driver ambassador program, which pays drivers up to $2 million annually for promotional activities. Hamlin, never one to miss an opportunity for a good jab, recently posted, "Come see me actively promoting and growing our sport this Saturday." a clear reference to NASCAR attorney Chris Yates' claim that NASCAR wants to work with teams to grow the sport. I don't know if 2311 and Front Row truly want to grow the sport. So what's really at stake here? Nothing less than the future of how NASCAR operates. If 2311 and Front Row win their lawsuit, it could fundamentally change the economic structure of the sport. Teams could gain more control, more revenue, and potentially more say in how races are run and how the sport is governed. On December 1st, this case is scheduled to go to trial, with an appeal expected by June 20th, 2025. Until then, the sport remains in a strange limbo, with teams racing each weekend while simultaneously fighting NASCAR in court. And let's be clear, this uncertainty isn't good for anyone. Not the teams, not the drivers, not the sponsors, and certainly not the fans. The longer this drags on, the more it threatens to overshadow what happens on the track. So let's ask the questions everyone's thinking about. Can NASCAR and these teams find a way to settle this before it gets even uglier? Will other teams join the lawsuit now that NASCAR has escalated with a countersuit? Is this ultimately about growing the sport as a whole, or just about who gets the biggest slice of the pie? And perhaps most importantly, how will this affect what we see on the track every weekend? Who do you think is in the right in this legal battle? NASCAR, the teams. Both sides have valid points. Neither side, they should work it out. It's worth noting that this isn't the first time NASCAR has faced challenges from teams and drivers. Back in 1969, the Professional Drivers Association organized a boycott of the Talladega Superspeedway opening, citing safety concerns. More recently, Denny Hamlin himself was vocal about safety issues with the next-gen car in 2022. But what makes this conflict different is the scale and the legal approach. This isn't just drivers complaining or threatening boycotts. This is teams taking NASCAR to federal court with serious antitrust allegations. Hamlin, who's been in NASCAR's Cup Series since 2005, recently expressed his frustration, saying he's been trying to effect positive change in the sport he loves for 20 years. He believes that change inevitably comes with resistance and that legal action became necessary when other avenues failed. So, what does all this mean for you, the NASCAR fan? In the short term, probably not much. Races will continue, drivers will compete, and the on-track product shouldn't change dramatically. But long-term, this legal battle could reshape the entire sport. If teams gain more revenue and stability, it could lead to better racing as teams invest more in technology and talent. It could also mean more innovation and possibly more competitive balance across the field. On the other hand, if NASCAR maintains the status quo, some smaller teams might eventually find it financially impossible to continue competing at the highest level. As we wait for this lawsuit to play out in court, one thing is certain: NASCAR is at a crossroads. The old ways of doing business are being challenged, and the outcome will shape the sport for generations to come. What do you think about this ongoing battle? Is Denny Hamlin right to call out NASCAR? Should teams get a bigger piece of the revenue pie? Or do you think NASCAR is justified in fighting back? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe for more NASCAR news and analysis, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this developing story.